Hello, this is section 12.5, Law of Cosines. We've already learned how to use law of sines in the two cases when we use law of sines. In this section, we're going to use the law of cosines to solve triangles, and we're going to learn to choose the methods to solve the triangles. So remember, when we solve a triangle, we're finding all three sides and all three angles. So they will usually give you three of the six parts that you need, and they vary depending on what you have. So law of cosines is a method you use when law of sines cannot be used. So you can use law of sines when you have angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle, when two angles and a side is given. And you can use it when two sides and an angle that's opposite one of the sides is given. Other than that, those are the only two cases. So let's look at law of sines. So when can you use, again, this is really important right here. So when can you use the law of cosines to solve a triangle? Well, you have two cases just like on law of sines. One is when the measure of two sides and an included angle are known. Angle, side, angle. Now remember, this is also what we use in our area formula. All right, the other case is when the measure of all three sides are known, or side, side, side. Now again, there's a pattern. So you have three cases. So you have a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine a. B squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. C squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine c. Now notice, let's look at this first one here. It's always a leg, A, B, or C. So A squared is going to equal to the sum of the square of the other two legs. Pretty simple. Minus 2 times the product of the other two legs, BC, times cosine of the angle that we're across from the side that we're finding. So look at the next one. So we're finding B squared. So B squared equals C squared plus a squared minus 2 times the product of these two times the cosine of b. Likewise, if I wanted to find c, I would say c squared equals the sum of a squared plus b squared minus 2 times the product of ab times the cosine of c. So let's look at example 1, and let's solve this triangle. Okay, so excuse me. So we're given two sides and inclusive angle. So in order to find, we'll start with finding B, right? So let's start with what are we missing? Remember, we always said let's start with what we're missing. So we are looking for side little b. So we're trying to find B. We're trying to find angle A. And we're trying to find angle C. That's what the capital letters stand for. So this is what we're missing. So we know if we're finding B, so we would say B squared equals A squared plus C squared, the other two legs, minus 2 times AC cosine of B. We don't know B squared. We know little a is 7. So 7 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 7 times 5 times the cosine of 36 degrees. So now we can punch this in our calculator and we get b squared equals 17.4. Remember, this is b squared, so I need to find b. So I take the square root, and b is approximately 4.2. So now, in order to find the angles, I can simply do what? I can use the law of sines. So I want to find the smaller angle first, just to keep an error in case the big one is an obtuse. It could be an acute as well, but it could also be an obtuse. So let's so we're going to take sine of C over 5. Because how do we know that that is the smallest? Well, if this is of the two, 5 and 7, right? So 5 is smaller and it's across from angle C. Sorry, sine of C over 5 equals sine of 36 over 4.2. Now we just use the cross butterfly method and we solve and we get this is approximately 44 degrees. So this is going to be C. So 44. So now how do we find the measure of angle A? It's going to be 180 minus 44 plus 36, which equals 100 degrees. Now we've solved the triangle. We started off with laws of cosine, and then to find the sine, and then we use the law of sine to find the angle because that's a much easier formula. It's a lot simpler. Not that we couldn't have used the law of cosine. We could have, but it would have been a little bit longer. Now let's look at example 2. It says solve a triangle when given 3 sides. So let's find where we're at here. Okay, so solve a triangle given 3 sides. So I need to find all of my angle measures. So I need angle A, angle B, and angle C. Now I can't use a law of sines because I've got 2 angles and I'd have 2 unknowns. So I have to use a law of cosines. When given 3 sides, we find the measure of the largest angle first to assure the other 2 angles are acute when we use the law of sines. Okay, because then we'll use the law of sines. So we'll start off with the law of cosines. And so the largest angle is going to be A. So I'm going to use A. So I'm going to use the formula A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. So I know A. So I have 16 squared plus 9 equals 9 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 9 times 10 times cosine of A. I don't know this. So I'm going to get 256 equal 81 plus 100. So 181 minus, and then the product of all this is going to be 180. Oh, this is just 81. Nope, it's 180. 181. Cosine of A. Now remember, order of operation, this means multiplication, so I can't subtract 180 minus 180. 181 minus 180. Don't forget order of operation. So I minus 181 from both sides, and I get 75 equal negative 180 times cosine of A. Well, I can divide both sides by 100, negative 180. Okay, and then I'm left with cosine. I'm going to flip this. Whatever the quotient is, so 75 divided by 180 is negative 0.416 repeating. So then I'm going to find A. So remember how you find A. Inverse cosine negative 0.416 repeating. So when I put that in my calculator, I get approximately, A is approximately 115 degrees. All right, so A is 115 degrees. So now I can use the law of sines to find B and C. So I'm going to do sine of 115 over 16 is equal to the sine of B over 9. And I use cross multiplication and I solve and I get B is approximately 31 degrees. So now can I find C? Yes, I'm going to do 180 minus 115 plus 31 equals 34 degrees. Okay. So you're always going to start off with the method, whatever method that you can use, right? Depends on what's given. What information is given will depend on which law you use. Do you start off with sine or cosine? So we have to choose when we're solving an oblique triangle. then we need to decide where do we start. So if you're given two angles and any side, we're going to start with the law of sines. If we're given two sides and an angle opposite one of them, we're going to use the law of sines. If we're given two sides and their included angle, we're going to use the law of cosines. And if we're given three sides, we're going to use the law of cosines. That's what you'll start with. Now you may switch after that. Let's look at example 3. It says a scuba diver looks up 20 degrees and sees a turtle 9 feet away. She looks down 40 degrees and sees a blue parrot fish 12 feet away. How far apart are the turtle and the blue parrot fish? So you make a triangle, and this is what we're looking for. We're looking for a side D. And this angle here, remember we look at the angle of elevation and angle of depression. Together it's 60 degrees. We're given these two lengths, yes? So we're given what? Two sides, an inclusive angle, and a side, yes? So what are we going to use? Well, we're looking for this side, oh, not D, little a. So we're going to use the law of cosine. So we're going to say a square, we're going to do a square equals b squared. Again, start off with your formula because I promise you, you'll make a mistake. Okay, so do we know a? No, that's what we're looking for. And b and c, so 9 squared plus 12 squared. 9 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 9 times 12 times the cosine of 60 degrees. So I can put this in my calculator and get, what is 2 times 9 times 12? 2 times 9 times 12 is 216 times the cosine of 60 degrees. So remember, you must perform this operation before you do subtraction. Okay, so then 81 plus 144 is going to be 945. So remember, this all equals a squared. Don't leave the left side out because then you'll forget what you're really doing here. So then you get 216 times cosine of 60 is going to be minus 108. So then I get 945 minus 108, and I get 837, and then I need to take the square root of that value. And I did something wrong, obviously. This equals 100. This equals a squared equals 117. And when I take the square root of a, I get approximately 10.8 feet. So 9 squared plus 12 squared times 2 times 9 times 12 times the cosine of 60. So you got to make sure that you do the order right when you put it in the calculator. All right, do the practice problems. Oh, here's the problem here. This is 225. Yes, there's my mistake. All right, do the practice problems and we will see you in class.